Yeah, I want to film.
There you go.
Hello, welcome back.
Welcome back.
We are I'm in Melbourne because I don't live in Melbourne yet. Well, I used to live here actually, and then I moved away because a lot of things happened and I had to go. I've only been away a couple of years, but I'm back and I will be moving back. God willing. Not God willing. It's happening. I know that. Anyway.
And then we'll have so many more videos together.
Exactly. So I don't really know what I would call this video. You're going to see it when you see it. You'll see the title. You'll see the thumbnail. You click on it. But I just thought I'd capitalize on the time that I have with my beautiful best friend.
Love you.
Yes, love you too. Because why not? So I wanted to just like have a riff and just ask each other questions. This is just usually what we would say to each other and talk about when we're in a room. So I may as well film it and share
we
it.
are appropriately lubricated for this kind of situation.
That's true.
That's all you need to know.
We've had a little gummy.
No further questions, Your Honor.
So it's a good time. Good time. I honestly think that I should just go on Pinterest.
Yeah,
because I think I have a whole like board of just questions. Or something,
perfect. Yeah, you were preparing for this exact.
Yeah,
situation.
Even though I didn't know that's what I was preparing for.
I love when it works out that way.
Yes.
Look at what she got me.
Yes, because it's the year of the snake.
It's my guardian angel this year.
Yes. Okay. Oh, some of these are shadow ones, so maybe not. We're not going to get into shadow ones.
Nothing too deep.
No, but cute. You talk with partner.
Okay, we're basically platonic life partners for sure.
Okay, this is a good one.
Okay,
I'll ask you. You can ask me too.
Okay.
What's the most memorable moment we've shared together, and why was it so special to you?
Oh my god, the most memorable.
There's actually been
literally
naturally with anybody that's friends for long enough.
Crazy.
Like 10 years now.
Yeah, basically a decade. Even though we didn't grow up together as children, like our bond is such that like I delude myself into thinking I've known her every stage of life.
It actually feels
I haven't missed anything.
I think that's just because we've met each other's inner child. So it feels like we've actually already experienced that much of life together.
Yes.
And I know so many random stories of your childhood. Like, and the way that I see them in my head is like it is a memory I was there for. So I think that's why I just go, yeah, of course, I've known you. I've known you the whole time.
Oh, this is gonna be great. I don't know if I might put this on my personal channel actually instead of my business one. But okay, the most I'm gonna think of the most memorable I can think of presently because it's just literally insane.
I'm trying to pick.
I would choose one of our earliest, like as we were really deepening that best friendship, and it was when you came over and we did like makeup and we did yoga.
Oh my god, we did it all.
And then we took photos of ourselves doing the yoga moves.
Yes, I have those photos still.
Yeah, and it was just like the way that it transpired and the ease of that hangout and just like do you want to do yoga? Yeah, let's do it. Getting the mats out, just doing the thing.
It was so smooth.
Also being silly, like we weren't perfect with every move that we did, and neither of us felt like it was important to focus on that. It was just fun and playful, and it was one of the moments where I was like, this is it. This is the kind of friendship I've always wanted.
I know. Oh my god. Similarly, I remember when actually, honestly, there's a lot of memories of when I kind of had this thought. I just got really high on this. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, I have distinct memories that are just like 3 seconds each of me just going, wow, I think this is one of my people. No, this is right. Okay. Okay. So before Thando had come into my life as soon as I moved to Melbourne, pretty much within the first few months of being here, I met her through an old friend that I used to have. And prior to that, no, not prior to that. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we were friends for a couple of years before we got really close. And so I'd been to like your birthdays and I'd come over and hung out with you and your partner at the time. And it was the best, right? And I knew we were going to be friends. And I knew that you would be somebody that was always in my life if, the universe allowed it. But a really distinct moment for me was when I started changing a lot, and that kind of made me distance myself from the people that I was associating with at the time. And I would journal and script a new life I wanted for myself because it was a really dark time one of these particular years. Like I was very I was suicidal and going through a lot of things. And so I would just sit there manically scripting like I can write myself out of this reality. And I did. And Thando, I'm not even kidding, was one of the first signs, I might cry, was one of the first signs that that was happening, because I wrote the kind of person that I was like, this is the type of soul that I need to be around for me to feel like I'm healing and like I'm on a journey. And you literally met. If I can find that fucking journal, I will let you read it, because I wrote like we get each other, and so she's very kind. She loves the way that I love. I needed somebody that was just as giving as they were receptive, but could receive. Because although I was around people that some of them were really selfish, they still struggled with receiving real, genuine intimacy or love. And for me, my friendships have always been the most rewarding and important thing to me. I might not have any Aquarian personal placements, but I act like I do because my friendships are incredibly sacred to me and always have been. So I was like, these are the types of friends that I want, because I didn't live with any family. My friends were my network, and I had to really think about the people I wanted to be around. And yeah, I was like, they have to be kind-natured. I don't even remember the exact qualities, but they're my favorite things about you. I'm not even kidding. And my favorite things about how close we are. And I realized that you were in my periphery the whole time. And then we started, I'm not even kidding, we started getting really close right as I was scripting this stuff. So I was like, I think this is materializing instantly. And so that's a really, really big moment. I used to just stop and be like, how is this real? How is this real?
You pressed some sort of universal button.
I think so.
And before then you weren't engaging, and then you pressed the right button, and then the universe was like, well, she was actually there all along. So now that you've said what you want,
we're here.
Well, here you go.
Exactly.
It's just kind of funny. That's so how like life works spiritually. Like when you live in the spiritual, that's kind of it's a lot of like kismet. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. How do you think we can best resolve conflicts when they arise? Or no, how do you think we do?
Okay. So we're hilarious. So Thando and I synastry has a lot of Cancer in it. So any of my astro girlies out there, you know what that energy is. To basically put it, we're very sensitive to each other's emotions, and we prefer to go about things in a very soft way. I'm an Aries with a Taurus Mercury. So naturally I can be very blunt, very brute, confrontational, dry. So even when I'm joking, I think a lot of people have a hard time realizing they're not supposed to take me seriously. And I know I know my concepts, you know what I mean? I know what I'm about. I know I'm being dumb, or I'm being silly on purpose, or I'm being bitchy on purpose, but you're not supposed to take it super serious. Hence why I'm not playful with everybody, because it's a bit scary. Anyway, so I'm like that. And Tando's a Libra, so she's very diplomatic, knows how to communicate. But then like any true Libra, when you know them, you know their real thoughts. And it's great. It's so good. And I worked for this. I worked to be able to see this side of you. I put in the work and I see the real her. She's not a terrible human being. It's just
I would hope.
No, before anybody assumes that that's what I'm trying to say. It's just you're so witty and funny, and you know how to deliver something to people without, if they're a bit slow, it will go over their head, but they'll realize it later and be like, but it's so smart that it's funny, and you'll allow it. Like it's just, you know, but anyway, I say all that because I think that plays into how we handle conflict. I think we don't take it we've never yelled at one another unless it was like a play argument. We're being silly. We might both clock it. You know what? We clock it. We don't say anything yet, and then later it will come up organically in a conversation where we just unpack it, and we unpack it in a very
soft and unconfrontational with each other, because like I don't know if it actually has to do with the cardinal energy of having Cancer Mercury in our synastry, because I find Cancerians and Librans to be similar in that way.
Yes,
you really need to rile them to bring the confrontation to the forefront, and so the way that we actually have done resolving things is we clock things, and generally like we either both just clock that there's like an energy has happened, and typically one person has a problem and the other one kind of clocks they have a problem, but like is like I'll let them bring it up because I don't want to like force it out, right? That's the gentility between us. It's like we don't want to like end up coming upon like frightening the other person with the conflict. So how it comes up is so funny, and it's just like one day it becomes a non-issue, and so it becomes easy to talk about. And then once it becomes easy to talk about, we then now scrutinize the time, the relevant time, and then we talk about how we each were interpreting everything.
And we'll unpack it like that. It's so funny because it's like we're talking about two other people that's not us. We'll be like, oh yeah, so when you it's very like clinical and back, but we both still laugh about it. Yes,
you know,
very considerate.
She respectful with it. That's us.
Truthfully,
we're throwing it back respectfully.
But I think we've just always been like that. I don't think it's a vibe we had to adjust to. I think we naturally work. We work. It's so funny though when things will come up.
With time, it just got easier, and I think those things kind of happen very few and far between for us. I think they always have, to be fair.
I think
it was probably closer together at the beginning because we were learning each other
for sure.
Whereas now it's like
But I also think now we're that deep and far in it that I think we both can just call things out a lot. We usually do. We're like, what the fuck's that?
Yeah,
and then the other's like,
yeah, I know.
And then it gets resolved.
Yeah, like I know I'm not slick, but I think I am sometimes when I'm like messaging and I'm like, she's not gonna know I'm obsessed. She knows. And I know she knows. Yeah. And it's just funny that we have a dance that we do is the best way.
Which is very feminine and Cancerian to do, is to just dance around it, but like somehow work it out. Yeah. Oh my god. Ridiculousness. I love us though.
Yeah, no, it's good vibes. Okay, I have one. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
What does commitment mean to you in our relationship?
Wow, what a big question. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of the best way to actually articulate that. Commitment. I think we commit to making sure that the communication between us is always something that accommodates both of us. Mm-hmm. I think commitment is not one big thing that you do, like, I'm just committed to you, and it's some sort of vague concept. I think whether you're in a romantic relationship or a real deep friendship, any relationship that means a lot to you, is you're committed to doing what it takes to keep you both happy. Mm-hmm. What's your love language? What's mine? Are they the same? Can we meet in the middle? Can I give you yours and then you just give me mine, and we don't compromise another way? And God, it's a lot. It's definitely work. It's not work you don't want to do, but it's not something that you're just like, yeah, that's my friend, and it just sort of replenishes itself. Yeah. It will challenge you, and you have to be committed to humbling yourself at times. You have to be committed to being, being loving and being respectful, and realizing what it takes to have good communication. Like, you and I are long distance, so if we didn't talk every day, I realize that we both need, I realize that we have slightly different needs with how often we might need to talk, but I think we've struck like a happy medium now. Agreed. And there was a commitment to do that. I think commitment to me is layered and in multiple acts that you do for somebody. It's not just you just say it and suddenly it's like some vague concept that you've applied.
Yeah. So what commitment means to me in the context of our relationship is being communicative and being like readily available. I would want to be that, especially for a best friend, more than anyone. Like, I think as much as some people like all friends are the same, I don't think all friends are the same. No. And I think for our relationship, I am the most readily available to you more than anyone else.
Yeah, same, easily.
And it's because I want to, and it's because our friendship is truly a safe space that I don't really have to hide from. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of easy to do that. Mm-hmm. I think I show my commitment to the relationship by like remembering things, trying to remember things that you like, things that you don't like, ways that you are. I think a lot, like, I show commitment to the relationship by putting aside my ego, because I have a humongous ego, and that's like something I'm really happy with.
As you can see.
But yes, sometimes I have to realize that I am my own person and Benea is her own person. And it's typically something that I do alone. Like, I try not to put it on you that I go through this process, but it's consistently like me expecting a certain outcome, realizing I'm not going to get that outcome because you're a different person, you operate differently, and then realizing that based on what I do know of you, when you're doing X, that is you showing effort. And then like I just have that conversation with myself. And I don't think it's weird or unusual. I do think I'm embarrassed to say it, but I also think it's like really normal. And I think it's actually really healthy, because like I understand that that's a me thing and it's not a her thing, and it's not even something that's exclusive to how I see you or how I treat you. I just sometimes have to be reminded that I don't. My operation system is different to other people's, and so like the communication aspect of it is being readily available to be deep with it, and like to really explain where triggers come from, and like why it is I have certain expectations, why it is Stacey does certain things. Understanding the trauma behind it means that we approach each other with more grace and more consideration. And so I think one of our strongest strengths in our commitment to each other and our friendship is communication, actually. And then action as well. Like, I like to show in action that I care about her regularly. So like I might surprise her with a bouquet of flowers, or if she's around, I'll cook for her. I like acts of service. I like doing them. She likes receiving them. She's a Leo moon. She likes to be made to feel special. I have Leo energy. I love making people feel special. It is a Leonian like talent to do that. And so I lean into that because that's someone, as she mentioned earlier in the video, being able to accept love is a specific gift and skill that not many people have.
Surprisingly.
And that's something that like Stace actually has. And so I can be my full, big, bold self. I can flirt with you all the time, and you're not going to like
I'm
think
not like
it's crazy.
Yeah,
or,
I'm like,
weird.
she's just being herself.
I can just be whatever iteration of me in that moment, and you just take it as a momentary thing and not like a bigger like explanation. Or, like it's just you know.
I think that's an important thing actually, is embracing being, if you love somebody, and this is not so much about commitment, but I guess it's commitment to loving a person. If you love somebody, you're going to just love every part of them. You're not, why would you be cherry picking something out of a person? And either, if you're scared of that happening, that's, you might actually be a person that does that yourself. And I think you need to look at that, because that's not, you don't want to be loved for what you can do for a person alone, or this one really charming part of you, because you're funny and you provide entertainment. You want to still be loved of people, even if you're a bit weird and you say weird things, or you think in a different way, or you engage in a hobby that's unconventional, or judged or something. You know, I think...
Or if you're having a bad day.
Yeah, you got to be committed to keeping an open mind, and even Thando touched on it, you're different people. So you might be so similar and click in one way, but at the end of there's going to be a random thing about the two of you, or in the group, that you're going to differ from, and it will be probably very foreign to you, and you need to be prepared to just accept that, because why do you care to change someone? That, I guess it's just because I have a lot of placements that are not very restricting, so I'm pretty open. I can definitely judge people. I have earth placements, but I think at the end of the day, it's never that deep to me. I'll just think something and keep it to myself, or make a comment to Thando, and then we'll move on, but I don't actually care. I'm just saying it. So I think,
I think we're also both lucky to be naturally non-judgmental people, but I think even if we were, a way that I would show my commitment to Anaya is holding space for the things that I don't do, or the ways that I don't think.
Yes.
So I think we still have those things. So there might be some things that I can't mention in a YouTube video that Winaya is interested in.
I think I know the exact thing.
And it's like, it's not something that I've ever really thought about doing, but when we introduce things to each other that maybe the other person doesn't know or understand or whatever, and can I say, it's a very interesting lady right here, I'll tell you that now. But when that happens, it's like, I think we really just hold space for each other, and that's how we've created this space that feels really safe. Is like, we've proven to each other each time we've come with something that we thought was really heavy.
And the other was like, what do you mean?
The other person's really going to think I'm fucking nuts. And we allow space to just be like, no, you're not crazy. Even if I've never heard that. I've heard many people do what you do. And I think that's interesting. Tell me more. I know, just outing her. I want you to comment down below what you think. What you think these things are that she's interested in. I reckon.
You know, you gotta be out there. That's
it. If you're friends with me, you gotta be prepared to be outed.
That's true. You're not safe. All your secrets out into that. She just throws them out there. I've been outed.
I'm dead.
Yes. No, I think that was a good one. I think we'll do one more.
Let's do it.
Did I? No, I did turn it off. Okay. Let's see. How do you cope with jealousy in our relationship?
I think I like feel it less now, but how I cope with it, because like I am a Taurus moon, so whether I want to or not, I guess to an extent, because the second house and Taurus rules possessions, I know I don't do it consciously, but I know to an extent I view all my friends as aspects of me. And that's why it's easy for me to feel embarrassed by people, and that's why I cull and cut people really quickly and easily, because to an extent I see them as extensions of me. And so I think one thing also to preface that affects my jealousy and friendship specifically is because I've had a lot of actual situations with my Lilith in the 11th where I noticed that a friend that I thought was my best friend starts treating someone that I introduced them to better, or another person in their life better than they treat me, but I'm supposed to be the best friend. And it just kind of starts happening slowly, and it's like, it's part of this like weird, you started having an issue with me maybe, or maybe you just have like a lack of boundaries, but you accept when someone else maybe like pushes you out of your comfort zone, but you hate it when I do it. That's happened to me a lot in a lot of friendships. So there's a lot of like trauma surrounding it, wherein I've thought I had a certain kind of relationship, and then one day someone decides that someone else is more important than me, and so whenever someone I really, really like starts interacting with another person almost similarly in frequency and in depth, it immediately makes me arc up. And I have to work through that internally always. And so has it shown up in our relationship? Maybe a couple times, not even like a lot, but the ways in which I dealt with it was just realizing and understanding like also how bad it feels to feel like someone's possession and feel like someone is controlling you. Like I would never want to be a controlling partner or friend. And so I kind of like, I talk myself out of it and I talk myself through it. And sometimes I will do it by questioning your relationship and wanting to understand the ins and outs of it, because sometimes I feel like maybe it's because I'm creating a whole world in my head. And if I just asked you questions about what you do with the other person and like what you get out of it, then I might realize that I've made up a whole thing that doesn't exist. And maybe our friendship really is important, but because it's a new, like shiny toys are interesting, right? And so like sometimes when a friendship has kind of come for the other person, they can really devote a lot of time to it because it's new and interesting.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to mean anything more than that.
Yes.
You're trying to figure out your relationship with the other person.
I
and so I think that's kind of how I've dealt with it personally. Is try not to make it your problem.
Interesting.
Especially because it has kind of been a discussion I've had with previous friends.
Yeah, I think I have dealt with a lot of jealousy, not necessarily coming from me. I've felt a lot of jealousy in relationships with other people, getting jealous about how I may divide my time, especially less so with other people. It's personal time I have. I've had a lot of friendships where people had a problem with how I spent my personal time with myself. If I was spending too much time on, and I'm somebody that I can be a yapper. I love socializing, usually with people that are my people more than just complete strangers. But I'm in an era in my life where I've been talking to a lot of strangers and being everywhere all the time. But I need at least sacred time on my own. And I've had friends who felt entitled to that time or got jealous when I would say, oh, I'm just going to go for a walk on my own. And they'd be like, why are you going to go without me? And navigating other people's jealousy has always been something that causes me a lot of anxiety, because I feel like sometimes friendships suffered when that was obviously a you issue and not a me issue. Have I dealt with jealousy though from myself? A little bit sometimes. It's jealousy of feeling like somebody else is going to get closer to them than you. I haven't not dealt with it in a long fucking time, I'll say. But if I remember ways that I would have been jealous, it would have been that one. Because I like to feel like I am valued, and I like to feel like we have more than just, oh, we do things together connection. It's like I have value in a intangible way. Exactly. And so if you're getting closer with somebody else, and instead of you maintaining the same closeness with me, you go off and you feel like this is your new greatest best friend. And I'm like, all the things that we built in our friendship or relationship to that point means nothing to you the way that you can have other friends. I don't get possessive in that way, but you can have other friends. I'm jealous of the connection if it feels really strong. Then I'm like, normal. What the fuck?
I think that's really natural and normal. I think like in general, we need to, as a society, decide and realize that like jealousy, anger, resentment are all normal responses to things, but it's about how you handle it and how much because I think a lot of people like let people hold their trauma instead of like working through it. They're like, this is now your problem. How dare you, as my boyfriend, treat me this way when it reminds me that my father treated me this way. And so you're a piece of shit. And it's like, he didn't even know that doing this one thing would trigger that wound and whatever. And so if you're having issues, like don't think that you're like, because also we make ourselves feel bad all the time for those more negative emotions. Like don't sit there thinking I'm a shitty person because sometimes I get jealous that Stacey meets new people that she finds interesting. Like whatever it is, like flip it for your own situation. Just like nurse yourself and be like, okay, like let's think about this, let's talk it out, let's put some music on, get my journal out, and just like understand it. And if you're struggling to unpack it, I think if you have a really close friend, you can be like, hey, like I just kind of want to tell you that like you've been hanging out with this person. I don't really know how it makes me feel, but it makes me feel uncomfortable. And I think if you have a really close friend, they can be like, okay, let's like work through that. So like what is it about? Like when are you feeling it? Is it like the longer I spend with the person? Like
is it because I'm neglecting you? Do you feel neglected? Tell me how, you know, and someone that loves you is going to they're going to hold space for a weird conversation or an awkward one where you might feel like you don't have your pride anymore. You might feel a little, and humiliated because you feel pathetic because you're like, oh my God, I'm coming and telling you that I don't feel loved enough, and that can be daunting. But someone that loves you will genuinely, they might initially be frustrated because they don't think they're doing that, and leave room for that as the person who might initiate conversation. Leave room for them to initially be uncomfortable or weird. But someone that does love you will come back at least and be like, okay, talk to me and let's workshop this. Let's figure out what's going on. I think that's a really important thing in a relationship. If you want to look out for someone that has that you can say those things to and they will receive it, because life is too short for you to tiptoe around saying how you feel and what you want from people.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to do it in an aggressive way and be like, give me this. You can say it softly. You can say it after a lot of contemplation and deliberation on how to deliver it or what points to bring up. But someone that loves you, it's a good test. I'll just say, be prepared to lose the person.
Yeah, to add to that, like, and I would say this as a Libra, but I don't give a fuck what you think about it. But don't think that to bring up a point and have it be taken seriously and resolved, it means you need to come at it with anger or viciousness. Like, you don't, like, when you love someone, you don't have to assert yourself that strongly. It's the same way that, like, now as time goes on, we recognize that capital punishment is really terrible and it's disgusting. And is it capital or corporal?
Corporal for children. Yeah,
corporal.
Capital punishment is.
I was talking about death. No, sorry. Corporal punishment. Corporal punishment. You know, we realize now it's really like a trauma response from the parents, and it's your inability to transmute that anger into like a reasonable conversation and action based off of that. You getting so angry so as to rouse that level of anger, and then you like turn that into physical action against someone and something much smaller than you in every sense of the word, is not useful, and it doesn't educate. It scares, it frightens, it causes other issues, it causes hiding and all of that sort of stuff. And so I think I want you to consider that. I think this is important even in romantic relationships. I think too many people think that they're entitled to become their bitchiest self because they have a problem, when I think you get the most out of it. Like, if you're thinking, how can my communication with my boyfriend or my best friend be healthier? Think about how you approach an issue. Because I always say, like, sometimes the issue isn't that someone doesn't want to repent. The issue is how you came at them. And while that seems silly, that someone might not think like them fucking up is more important than their ego. I'm sorry, but ego is important to everyone.
Yes.
Even the one with low self-esteem, they're still in their ego. That's a whole other conversation. But it's like how you approach someone to ask you for your needs or say that you're feeling left out, confused, upset about something is almost as important. Why did I just lose my train of thought?
Because
also almost as important as you bringing up the topic in the first place. It's not just about what the problem is, it's how you approach the topic if you want it to actually be resolved. Otherwise, you approach it any other way and now it's a screaming match. Now potentially you're blocking the other person because now things have devolved so quickly.
You will not see eye to eye if you're in a state of, and look, I'm a fire sign, I'll argue, I'll scream, I'll yell, but with age and refinement, that's not the best way.
You've got to reserve like your fieriness for certain places.
There's a time and a place. Like, I think a good way to channel
we're
it.
Really fiery.
Yes.
And I think the way we actually channel it is in our vivacious personalities.
Yes. And in being playful. I think play actually helps me transmit a lot of my like energy.
When we're together, we just bounce off each other, and that's still that same energy that we can rouse when we're angry. And so you need to think about how, like, look up what transmutation is. I'm not going to explain it right now.
Undergo that.
This is a playful video. God damn it.
Yes. Oh my god, did you see?
I did see that.
Might have come up. Oh, that's spirit.
True.
But no, I think we touched on some good things.
Honestly, so I'm so excited for you to watch this video. Like, I love our friendship.
Yeah, same.
I don't care what you think about it. I could talk about our friendship all day. But I'm not going to now because my lower back is sore and I need to go put a heat pack on it.
Yeah, we need to wrap this up. But I hope you've enjoyed everything that you've been watching.
Yes. I hope you got some inspo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll see you again.
Bye.
Goodbye.